University of California will no longer consider SAT and ACT scores. This is a New York Times story. They will no longer take into account in admissions or scholarship decisions for its system of 10 schools, which includes some of the nation's most sought-after campuses, in accordance with a settlement and a lawsuit brought by students. The settlement announced on Friday signals the end of a lengthy legal debate over whether the University of California system should use standardized tests, which students of color and those of disabilities have said that puts them at a disadvantage. Some 225,000 undergrad students attend University of California schools, and the settlement this week makes the system the largest and best-known American institution of higher education to distance itself from the use of two major standardized tests, and that's SATs and ACT.
Yeah, there's so much pressure on these kids right now. Getting into the right college is just unbelievable.
So you're for this. You agree with this.
You know what? Here's the thing. If you were going to test really high on these, it's really bad news, because that's a golden ticket. If you score, a 34 on your SATs, you're in anywhere you want to go, basically. So I think it's unfortunate for the kids that can prepare for these specific tests, but it might
34 on SAT? 32?
ACT, you mean.
ACT, yeah, it's not SAT.
Right, on the
a
ACT.
really bad score on your SAT.
UCLA this past year, which is one of the toughest
I was going to say, if that was the case, I should be in Harvard.
I think you get $500 for just writing your name
down. Go back and say, what happened, Harvard?
Go back to the University of Miami and start partying. So UCLA dropped them this past year because of COVID, and it completely changed the playing field, right? It just opened up so many people, more people to have the opportunity to get in there. So I don't know. It's the way we've been doing it for so long, and it's going to take a few years for this to shake out and just see what the effect is.
What do you think about it? What do you think about it?
So I guess my question is, what are they using to judge applicants? Just your GPA and your resume?
Well, that, and then your resume. What kind of programs you've been in.
I don't know about that. Listen, I mean, I get it. I get the fact that there's a lot of pressure to do that, but dude, if you can't handle the pressure of going into college, how the hell are you going to handle the pressure of real life? What kind of pressure there's in real life? Are you kidding me? Hey, you got a baby. You got the pressure of having to put food on the table. That's real life pressure. If you want to get a job and there's a deadline to it, this is too much pressure. Isn't college supposed to prepare you for real life pressure? What's more pressure, being married with kids or going to college? Honestly, what is more pressure? Married with kids is way more pressure than going to college. So for me, I don't know if I like this. And I got 3 kids, 1 on the way. So for me, I kind of want the kid, listen, you ain't got a good SAT, you ain't got a good ACT. Guess what? Maybe you're not good enough for that school. Maybe you got to go a different route. Yeah. But now if we don't find out and you go to school, it takes me 4 years to realize we wasted money going into college. I don't think this is a race thing. What race? What does this have to do with race? If this is a race thing, why are so many Asians killing it in school? If this is truly a race thing. If you go look at the grades in school with nationalities, go look at how Persians do in school. Honestly, go look at how Persians do in school. Some of the best students. Go look at how Asians do in school. They're not American. They're not white. This is not a race thing. This is the kind of stuff that's getting a little bit pathetic when they're talking about, hey, it's because of race we have to drop ACT and SAT. No, it's not because of race. It's because it's tough. And there's a lot of pressure to getting an SAT score. I got a real low SAT score, okay? And guess what I realized? It's probably not the route for me. I went into the military. That's not discrimination. I sucked. I didn't pay attention in school. I was lazy. Am I going to say it's the school system's fault? No, it's my fault. I didn't stay disciplined. I lifted weights instead. I went and hung out instead. I went and sold hats instead. I sold beanies instead. I sold baseball cards instead. I went in the military. Right. 2.5 years later, I got it and I went into sales. The rest is history. So for me, it's like the whole thing with boot camp, right? Boot camp is too much pressure. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a little bit tough. You're supposed to have a little bit of a hurdle to go to the next level of a school. If that's not the case, then what becomes special about going into the UCLA system? Maral graduated from UCLA, okay? She graduated from UCLA. I think her GPA was like 4.5, 4.6 when she went into UCLA. You know, to me, when I see Maral, you know what I think about? I'm like, salute. When she got her a bachelor's degree, then she went and got her MBA. Guess what? That's because you paid a price when you were going in high school. Others were partying. You were paying attention in class. Mm-hmm. You get a salute to getting into UCLA. Now you're telling me a girl who busted her tail to get into UCLA, maybe got a scholarship for grades that she had, parents didn't have to fork up, $250,000. Now we have to make her the same as another person that didn't get good grades, didn't fight for the SAT, didn't fight for the ACTs. They're at the same level. I don't see them being at the same level.
Yeah, what's wrong with being competitive for these kids?
I don't see a challenge, brother. Yeah. I think we need that. I think we have to depansify the next generation, and we're producing too many pansies if we go like this. 225,000 undergrads, biggest. So this to me is absolute pathetic. Adam, I'm sure you disagree. Give us your ideas.
Let me just give you a different perspective. I think I think you are right that they shouldn't just do away with this. But at the same time, the ACT or the SAT is not an indicator that you're going to be successful. I know a lot of people that crush their
Never said
SATs.
that.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
That crush their SAT. They got a 1400 or they got a 32, whatever the numbers are. And they can't interact with other human beings. And they can't sell stuff. And they don't have a business acumen, or they don't have
Neither
get along.
can Mark Zuckerberg.
They can't network. There's different strokes for different folks is ultimately the point. But I don't think it's fair to unidentify very brilliant people that would get a $1,600 on the SATs.
So we're saying the same thing. We're
Yeah,
not
it's
saying
just-
anything.
Ultimately, it comes down to having an overall resume that's impressive.
There's
like
got to
Tom
be a
said.
standardized guidelines. You make it, you make it. You don't, you don't. It's all good.
Yeah,
Go
because
to a
then
different place.
It's all gray without something that's a little bit black and white
Yeah.
with test scores. So seriously, you'll never know what they're using as criteria to let people in. And if you get rejected, they'll never give you an answer.
Yeah, it's like saying, well, moving forward, military shouldn't look at weight to get into the military. They shouldn't look at being flat-footed. They shouldn't look at you not having 20/20 vision. They shouldn't look at any of that stuff. No, you should. You should. That's part of going into the military. No, but you're discriminating against heavy people. You should. There are some things like when in sports team, when Antoine Walker didn't get his bonus because he put on 80 pounds and the Celtics discriminated against him for his weight, you're supposed to do that. What am I supposed to do? How are you going to run and last and play 35 minutes and I'm paying you $15 million a year, $12 million a year? I met Antoine Walker, nice guy. We sat down, had a cigar to get a phenomenal conversation. He now represents Morgan Stanley and is trying to help a lot of athletes not lose a lot of his money. I think he made $130 million in his career.
Lost
Doesn't have
all
a penny of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any. It doesn't
it's
have
a
any of
sad
it. So,
story, yeah.
so I think there are some areas. I am not qualified to do a lot of things, and they should discriminate against me. I am not qualified to do a lot of jobs, and I'm glad they did that against me. Not discriminate against my ethnicity because I'm Iranian or because I'm Assyrian or Armenian or because I'm not born in the States and any of that stuff. There are some jobs that I simply don't qualify for, and that's totally fine. And these guys are dropping their standards long term. I've never been a fan of low standards, but that's the direction they're going. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.